A GREENPOINT Williamsburg Public Affairs presentation. This is Neighborhoods Today. And I'm Dick Mahan. Reliable daycare can be difficult to find. And if you have a handicapped child, odds are that you will have even more of a difficult time. The old St. Francis de Paola School in Williamsburg is now home to a very special preschool center. It fills the needs of developmentally disabled children and their parents. REENA Marie visited the center and is in the studio with the director of the center's parental support group. REENA?
The Francis de Paola Preschool focuses on children from birth to 5 years of age who are developmentally challenged. Now, their disabilities could be anything from speech impairments to physical disabilities or even mental retardation. But you know, each child that comes to the center really undergoes a very extensive evaluation period so that they can receive very specialized and individualized attention. You know, but the center goes one step further because it fosters parental training and support groups. Why? Well, because a handicapped child has very special needs, and the parent of a handicapped child really must learn how to cope with their child's special needs. And with me today is my guest. This is Lourdes Putz. She is the center's caseworker, and she is also its support group and training program facilitator, and she's here to talk with us about some of the parental support groups and training programs at the preschool. Lourdes, I also know that you are the mother of a developmentally challenged child. Maybe one of the things you can do is start out by giving us, I guess, a perspective, a very own private perspective in terms of what your experiences have been like with your own child.
Jonathan is 6.5 years old, and he was born with Down syndrome. And the challenges have been continuous. It's like it's an ongoing task, day after day after day. But even more important, the reason why I've become so involved in providing all this support and all this training for parents is because I was able to see firsthand how important it was and how necessary it was, and that it was not available in this community or even in nearby communities to most of the parents. And there are so many parents out there that were just very much alone and in need of some sort of support. And this is how it all got started. From my own experiences from Jonathan's preschool where he attended. And I knew once I left there I would have nothing. So that's how I began to get the groups started here within the community in order to provide the support for the parents here.
Have you found, through your experiences as a parent with a developmentally challenged child, that your parenting skills really need to be different than when you have a child who is, quote, normal, whatever that means?
Definitely, in that with your typical child, we tend to take our everything for granted. We just move on day after day after day. When you find yourself in a situation like ours, it's not so simple, and lots of decisions need to be made, and you're never really sure whether you're making the right decisions. And every decision that you are going to make, you sit down and you think about it, and you talk about it, and you talk to different people, and you look for advice, and nothing ever really happens right away. So most definitely, and you yourself, you tend to question your own skills continuously. It's like all the time, am I making the right choices? Am I doing the right thing? Will this be the right move for him? Or is this the right school? Or is he receiving enough therapy? They're all questions that go down the line. There's no real, I don't know how to there's no real satisfactory answer in that, you know, the more we get for our children, the more we want, and we just keep moving that way. And I explain to parents all the time that it's normal to feel that way, and it's normal to want more, and it's okay.
If I were a parent of a developmentally disabled child and I came to you, what could you do for me? I mean, I obviously would be feeling all different kinds of feelings. From your experiences, what might be some of the things I would be feeling? Am I feeling guilt? Am I feeling alone? Am I feeling sadness?
Guilt is the very first feeling that every parent feels.
Why?
Because, like anything in life, when something goes wrong, you look at it as an error, as a mistake, and you try to figure out where along the line you did something that was wrong to make this end result.
So then this is my child. I must have done something wrong.
Exactly. I did something wrong, and if there's a spouse, maybe, you know, my husband did something wrong, or my wife did something wrong, or maybe we took the wrong type of medication while I was pregnant, and you think about all these things, and you try to find a way to pin the blame on something, okay? And and I try to explain to parents that it's normal to feel that way, and it's all part of a growing process, and that's the very first feeling. And of course, then comes the confusion, and it just goes on, the anger, the mourning. They're all normal emotions that have to be felt, that have to be dealt with and coped. And the best way to do is to talk about it, which is why the support groups are so important.
So is that the core of the support group then, to get the parents to come out and start to talk and start to deal with their feelings before they can actually take some kind of plan of action?
Right. Because before, or it's not even taking a plan of action, because there are parents that take action, but they're not totally understanding what's happening, and they're just moving on.
Is it a denial?
It can be a denial. It can be a form of denial. It can be, it's not even denial, just not understanding. You have no real knowledge as to what's happening, so you just move on, and you just let things be. Whatever happens, happens. So this is a way for them to be able to talk, to cope, to learn, and to start to feel and accept all those feelings that are happening, you know, everything that's going on inside of them. And by seeing other parents open up and talk about them, and by seeing other parents' acceptance, it helps them to be able to say, hey, you know, this is the way it really is, and this is what I'm really feeling, and it's okay to feel like that.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay to feel like that. I always tell them that. It's the most important thing. It's okay to feel like that. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay, you know, to cry every time. I mean, you'll cry forever. There's times I still feel like crying, and that's okay. You know, that has to happen.
So what other training can you offer parents aside from the support groups? Do they need to learn a special type of nutrition, different types of skills, educational skills, social skills?
Definitely, all of the above. They need to learn, yes. There's nutrition is always important. We try to provide workshops for them so that they can come in and speak to a nutritionist. Will come in and talk to them. Behavior management or proper discipline, because we all know it's very difficult. Some of the children are very frustrated, especially children that have severe speech impairments. They can't really communicate, so they use a lot of physical communication, and it makes it very difficult for parents. So we work with them on behavior management. Just so many wide range of services.
Do you also teach parents, you know, when you have a child that acts out because they want to get feelings out and they want to express themselves, and up here they have it but they just can't get it out, you know, in our society, certain, quote, behavior is not necessarily seen as very socially acceptable. Do you also teach parents how to deal with the social aspect?
Definitely. And even with, a lot of times behavior like this is very difficult for parents in that it's, they can be embarrassed, you know, and they don't like to take their children out to different, I don't want to take my son to that restaurant because he acts out. And I try to tell them the only way to try to help your son, or the only way even to help society to accept your child, is to bring him out into the world. Bring him out and bring him to that restaurant. Sit with him. You're going to get frustrated, and it's going to happen a few times, you know, where he's going to act out or whatever. But it, you know, in the long run, it will work. In one way or another, it will work. There's always a means, and looking for resources. Sometimes we don't have the answers, and I have to go elsewhere, and I have to find answers for them elsewhere. Sometimes they need to speak to a psychologist or another type professional, someone that's really can provide a lot more input for them as to what the proper way is to handle their child.
Sure. Do you also help the parents understand the types of therapies that their child might be undergoing, you know, whether it's a speech therapy or a physical therapy? Do you help them understand what the center has to offer and how the child could really benefit from that? Even a very young child, a couple of months old. Maybe some people would, you know, would turn around and say, my child is only 3 months old. How could they benefit from speech therapy?
Definitely. I can remember asking that same question myself.
Really?
Yes. I can remember Jonathan being 6 weeks old and they're telling me, oh, he's going to be receiving speech therapy. And I sat there and I said, speech therapy? What could you possibly teach a 6-week-old baby? And they were like, oh, just wait and see, and it's incredible. I learned proper feeding techniques. I learned how to help him to hold his muscles properly, you know, the importance behind the muscle of the tongue and why that muscle is so important. And you learn the importance behind repeating sounds. I mean, children babble and you never know that that's really important. And you learn that that is important. And to make that child know that it's important by repeating it. Because in hearing their own sound, they will again, you know, repetition will help. And they will repeat the sound. And beginning signs of speech, it's like incredible. I was like, what?
Things that we might
take
not
for
even...
granted.
Yeah, we
day.
just
We don't even think about. Things we don't even think about.
Do you feel that there is one thing, more than anything else, that that a parent should do for him or herself, you know, and their child when their child is developmentally challenged? One thing that might be a little bit more positive.
Again, the reason why I feel support is so important. The most important thing to me is right away is to reach out and find someone. You know, there are lots of people out there that we can identify with. The minute you touch hands with another individual that feels the way you feel, that knows every inch of the way of what you're going through, it makes such a difference. It's like incredible. It lifts a burden, that alone in itself. It makes a world of difference to know that it's, even if it's just someone to talk to, even if it's for 5 minutes a day for like the first month that the child is born, or that you first discover the child has a disability. To me, that's the first move.
Reaching out.
It's reaching out.
That's the key.
And once you've done that, everything else just falls into place, you know.
Reaching out.
Yeah.
That's the key. Okay, unfortunately, we're out of time already.
Yeah.
But what I would like to do, I would like to say to any of you out there who might be interested in the Francis Day Paola Pre-Care Center, preschool actually, feel free to give them a call. You can learn a little bit more about their programs, the programs for the children, also the support groups and the parental training programs for the parents. Very, very important if you have a child that's developmentally handicapped or disabled or challenged, as I like to refer to these children as. And you can reach the center at 718-782-1462. Lourdes, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good luck. I know we'll be talking again.
Thank you.
Now you stay tuned, because I'm sure you're going to want to see my surprise guest. Neighborhoods Today will continue right after this message.
Oh, there's a wonderful aroma starting to permeate the studio. That could only mean that fanciful feasting chef Ralph LUPOLI is here with one of his delicious recipes.
Good evening. Welcome to Fanciful Feasting. We're so delighted that you're able to cook with us again tonight. Tonight I'm going to show you how to make spicy peanut sauce, and I'm sure you've had this in many, many restaurants. Now we need to heat the ingredients here just to dissolve them. And what we do is take 1/4 cup of smooth peanut butter, and I have this on a very low flame. We add 3 tablespoons of sugar. Oop, it's hard sugar. That's what happens when you're working under lights sometime. And 1/4 cup of light soy sauce. Light means that there is less sugar, less salt, excuse me, in the soy sauce. And we stir that up. and dissolve all of that. This is going to go over cold spaghetti. I know it might sound crazy, but once you taste it, you're going to absolutely love it. You get it all over your recipes and everything else. We then need a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Keep stirring it so that it dissolves. 3 tablespoons of sesame oil. If you can get the toasted sesame oil, that'll give you a better flavor. Just keep stirring. We need I'm sorry, we got it out of order, 1/2 garlic. Again, this is sticking from the lights. And keep stirring that so it's all dissolved together. And we need 3 tablespoons of oil. And that's basically the sauce. I mean, what could be easier than this? Can you see that it's all coming together? Now this is enough for 1/2 pound of pasta. Now you cook your pasta, your spaghetti, as you normally would. Then you take it and you drain it and then run it under cold water. And keep doing this under cold water so that you get all of the starch out. And you see, you'll have no problem with it sticking. And you just pour this over it. Mix it together. I want to show you a little decoration here too, which is very, very pretty. Now you add some scallions, chopped green onion, some shredded carrot, and some peanuts, which have been toasted. I have made a few of these little brushes here, which make wonderful decorations. Can you see that? That's really this. I'm going to show you how to make that. And what you do is just take it, cut the end off, cut that off, peel it. Now that's the root end. So we take it this way. If you're having problems seeing this, it's because my hand is in the way. Cut it down to about there, see it? And try to get it as thin as possible. Toss it into some ice cold water, and this is what you'll get. No, not that, that's what I just tossed in. This is what you'll get. Now those are spicy noodles, and you can put them in a very pretty dish, but we're going to leave them in this bowl because the crew is going to eat them right away. I hope you're going to enjoy this. If you want the recipe, send a stamped, self-addressed envelope to Neighborhoods Today at the address you'll see on your screen later, and we'll be delighted to send you any recipe that you like. Good night.
Well, I think it's about time for us to introduce our special guests. And I see Angel Cappellino is here with them now. Angel, will you introduce them to us, please?
So without further ado, our surprise guest, and what a pleasure it is, believe me, is Sweet Frankie C. and the Deaf Troupe. How we doing, guys?
All right. It's truly a surprise. I didn't even know we'd be here tonight.
Okay, what we're going to do is, why don't we just introduce ourselves to the viewers and tell basically the role that you play in the band.
Okay. I'll start out. Sweet Frankie C., Frankie Costantino. I play lead guitar and lead vocals in the band.
Great.
I'm Dan Gewirtz. I play the bass and I play guitar and do a little bit of background vocals as well.
All right.
I'm Mike McLaughlin. I play keyboards and I sing.
All right.
Chris Roach, I play drums and a little bit of xylophone on the side.
Okay. All right, now that we have our introductions over with, this band, they do all original material. So I think I'll direct this to you, Frank. How would you describe the music?
Okay, it is original rock and roll. Very diverse as far as the sound of the band is concerned, because we all have different backgrounds. My particular influences include my brother as a songwriter, certainly, showing me how to write songs and get your emotions out in music. He affected me a great deal with my music and my writing. and that comes through in the band.
And let's see, any major influences as a bass player?
Bass player,
Okay.
right? Well, I do derive a lot of my musical influence from like Geddy Lee, John Entwistle, people who are guys who were popular in late '60s throughout the mid '70s. Paul McCartney, who I feel is kind of underrated as a bass player, and also a little bit of classical background that I kind of use from time to time in the music.
60s, great role models. Here we go, Mike.
My musical influence, I've only been playing for about 2 years, like this with other musicians. I love Roy Orbison lyrics, and really Gregorian chants is really something that has made a big impression on me. My 13 years in the Himalayas is very important, and they were great years of my life, Angel.
That's
really
different.
good.
I would imagine
It's
they
great
would
to be back
yeah.
with everybody.
We're alive, right?
Yes, we are. We're all friends, too, and that's
now
important.
we have our drummer here.
I was going to say Gregorian chants, but now I can't say that, so I'll have
all
to
right.
say.
Well, let's see.
Seriously, though, Frank has been a big influence on me as far as this band is concerned, and through his brother. Also, Frank's influences of John Cougar, Mellencamp, John Fogerty. My stage show is based almost 90% on what Engelbert Humperdinck does on stage.
Okay. Now,
Quality. Mantovani
now
also.
I'm just going to turn this next question over to Mike. Besides being a stand-up comedian,
And rightly
he
so.
also is the writer of our new theme song. So, maybe you can give us a little bit, was there any secret story that went on behind the writing of this song?
Yes.
Any,
it's,
love and lost and,
Well,
sordid love
there's two
affair,
answers to that. First off, I wish there was sort of a romantic thing. I'd like to give my address and phone number at the end of the gig, but that's on another show. Second of all, we all write stuff. This one in particular, I was able to get in and bend everybody's arms to let us do this, but obviously Frank, Danny, and Chris, we all write stuff. This one, I found some good chords. I just tried to write something that sounded nice, a little sappy, but it comes together very nice.
Well,
when
it
we sing
sounded especially nice to the
and
producers
you will
of
hear
our
the
show.
instrumental version since it's the theme of this thing.
Oh,
But
that's
there are
right.
words to it.
There are words. And if you buy the tape,
And we sing it in Greek too for
the
everyone
tape,
locally in
which we're
Astoria.
going to
Happens to
right
be
now,
right
because
here.
I was going to ask the guys what's coming up, but they have it. They're way ahead of me on this one. This is the new Frankie C. and the Deaf Troops cassette. And, of course, on this, we have the Neighborhood Today theme song with the words, so that we
correct.
will see if there's some story behind
It's
this.
in Gregorian too.
And speaking of neighborhoods, we'd like to thank Angel and everyone here at Neighborhoods. Fellas, let's give it up for
Oh,
Angel.
believe me, it is our pleasure. But wait, we're not done yet.
There's
As
more.
a very added treat. We are now going to see the new Frankie C. and the Deaf Troops video. Of course, with the Neighborhoods Today theme title, guys, I'll be the one.
That's it for this edition. For Neighborhoods Today, I'm Dick Mahan. Thank you for watching.